Hello children, today we'll be doing the 7th lesson, that is soils. So children, do you all know what is soil or what is soil made up of? You all might have seen soil all around in your place, like in a playground or on the sides of the roads. So a soil is something which is made up of tiny particles of the rocks, some minerals, water, air, and some remains of dead plants and animals. That is also called as humus. So these all together combine and form soil. Now children, soil is of various types. In this lesson, we will learn the different factors that are necessary for the soil formation, then different type of soils that are available in different geographical location, and the erosion and degradation that causes the soil to become infertile. Now here we will do the factors that affect soil formation. So in that, the first one is the parent rock. Now children, the parent rock is the main rock from which tiny particles of the rock break down and they form the main part of the soil. So this is the important factor in the soil formation. So depending on the hardness of the rock and whatever region that soil or rock is in, the rock gets weathered. Weathered means what? It gets powdered. The rock turns into powder material and then turns into earthly material. So these type of things or these type of soils are formed basically out of basalt rock, which is found in the Deccan Plateau in Maharashtra. And this soil is also referred, or it is also called as the regur, R-E-G-U-R, regur soil. Rocks like granite and genesis in South India give rise to red soil. You can see that in the picture. These types of soils are basically granite and genesis. The next factor that is necessary for soil formation is regional climate. So climate also plays a very important role in soil formation. The process of weathering that is there of the rocks depends on the climate of that region. So the climate decides the intensity, like how is the rock going to be weathered, how thick or how hard the rock is. So that is why one and the same type of rock gives rise to different types of soil. When the rock is exposed to different climates, like suppose in the dry climate, which is in the Deccan Plateau in India, weathering of basalt leads to the formation of black soil. So basalt, which is there, that rock, when it gets powdered or when it gets weathered, it leads to the formation of black soil. But whereas in humid climate, like we have the Western Sahyadris, which is in Maharashtra, the weathering of basalt rock, that is the same rock, here it leads to the formation of lateritic soil. Okay, so the same rock can form two different soils. Like in the dry climate, we saw the same basalt rock has a different soil, that is a black soil, whereas in humid climate we could see lateritic soil. The next factor that decides the formation of soil is the biotic material. So as you all know children, the soil also has some material, that is the biotic material, that is the living and dead parts of animals. Okay, so the weathering of rocks turns them into powdery material, but this powdery material is not just soil. There are some other things also present in the soil, which are the dead plants and animals. So what happens when these animals and plants which are dead, there is a process that takes place that is called as decomposition. So this decomposition of the remains of the plants and animals is called as the biotic material in the soil. Now this vegetal litter, roots of the plants, remains of animals, etc., they get decomposed, okay, due to water, and tiny microorganisms and certain other organisms help to decompose these dead material. The biotic material which is there is thus produced when all these things are mixed in the soil, which is then again which is called as humus. Now children, the process of decomposition by living organism takes place continuously. It is like a cycle. Nowadays you can see vermicompost, where people try to dump their waste into a pit, into a hole, and they fill it, which in turn these worms and different type of worms, they decompose these, and that process is called as a vermicompost. Next we have is time. Now children, soil requires a lot of time to form. It is not a very quick process. It requires a lot of time. So time is also an important factor in the formation of soil. So to form a 2.5 centimeter thick layer of topsoil, it takes around thousands of years. So you can imagine how long it takes to form soil, because it forms from a rock, right? So for a rock to break and to turn into tiny particles takes a very long time, and then for all the different materials to come together and mix into it also takes a lot of time. So that is why soil takes a very long time to form. Now children, an important component which is there in the soil, in the living world on the earth, is plants. Okay, so plants is very important to all of us, especially it produces a lot of oxygen which is required for all the living organisms to survive. So for the production of and growth of these plants, what is the main important thing? It is soil. So soil is a support system to the plants. Vegetation is abundant. Okay, vegetation is lot. You can see a lot of vegetation in regions where there is fertile soil. Now where can we find fertile soils? We have an example, that is in the equatorial regions. In the equatorial regions you can find plenty of vegetation, and that is specially because there we can find fertile soils. But wherever the soil is infertile, what happens then? The plants do not grow. That is why we require fertile soil. So though the favorable climate, availability of abundant water and sunlight are necessary for the growth of a plant, but these alone are not sufficient. Okay, fertile soil favors plant growth. Now when man realized that the sowing of seeds in the soil leads to growth of the plants and yield crops, he started using soil as a resource. Now slowly what happened? The man who was there, he started continuously using that soil, the fertile soil, along the river beds. Okay, man came to know, he discovered that just beside the river, there is fertile soil. So there is civilization that came into being. Which civilization? River Valley civilization. One of the famous ones which we know are the Indus Valley civilization, which is very famous for their agriculture and their building of houses and drainage systems. Now children, as man came to know that population as fertile soil helps in growth of plants, man kept on growing more and more, which made the soil infertile. As we learnt earlier, soil needs time, okay, for dead plants and different minerals to get absorbed into the soil, it takes a lot of time. If you continuously overuse that soil turns infertile. So, as man came to know that soil is very important for the growth of plants, man kept on growing more and more vegetables, crops, grains. And in this, what happened? As the population started growing, we have to grow more and more vegetables and more crops. Now, because of this, what happened? The soil turned infertile. So, in order to restore the fertility of the soil, man started using fertilizers. Okay, so fertilizers try and help in bringing back the fertility of the soil. So, that is why man started using fertilizers as well as insecticides. What are insecticides or insecticides? These are some kind of chemical which help in preventing any worms or anything to destroying the crops. Food grains like fruits and flowers are produced according to the type of soils. So not like every crop cannot grow everywhere. Okay, every crop has its different need of minerals. So any crop which is there, it will grow in a particular type of soil. So food crops like jawar and bajra are produced in the regular soils. So bajra and jawar which is there, it likes the soil regular which is found in Maharashtra plateau, while soils in Konkan, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka region produce rice. In Madhya Pradesh, potato is cultivated because the soil is favorable for potato. The local agricultural produce determines the staple diet of the people. So wherever whatever is available, there only you can feel that that type of crop is grown. The regions where you cannot grow any food, okay, the food requirements through are not available, then what happens? These countries, they import goods or crops from other countries. For example, countries like Saudi Arabia, then Qatar, Oman, they do not have a fertile soil and there is less availability of water as well. So in order to fulfill their requirements, they import some of the food from China, India and USA. The regions where soils are fertile can be self-reliant, because if a country or a region has fertile soil, then we do not have to depend on other countries or other states for the growth or for the food grains. So for example, there are certain farms which are there, like we have sugar factories developed in the sugarcane producing areas. Okay, like sugarcane gets spoiled if you take it far away. So that is why sugar factories are developed or built just beside the sugarcane producing areas. Even there are fruit processing industries that develop right beside the fruit production region. Next, we will see the 5 major types of soils which are found in Maharashtra. Okay, so there are 5 major types of soils which are available in Maharashtra. The first one is the coarse soil. This type of soil is a result of weathering. Okay, weathering means what? Breaking of the rocks, okay, into powder, and low rainfall. So because weathering is happening and there is low rainfall, this type of soil is found in Maharashtra. This soil can be found in the hilltops, okay, on the top of the hills in the western part of Maharashtra plateau. Like for example, we have Ajanta, Balaghat and Mahadev hills. So in these soils, the proportion of dead plants and animals, that is called as humus, is very less, negligible, it's not there. The second type is the regular or the black soil. This soil is found in areas of medium rainfall. Okay, here the rainfall is medium where these type of soils are found in the valleys and alluvial plains of river basins. So 2 types of this soil are found. Okay, black, that is dark black soil, is found in the western part of the Deccan Plateau, while medium black soil is found in the eastern part, which is Vidarbha. Though it is black in color, the proportion of organic components, that is humus, is less in the soil. The third one is the laterite soil. This soil is found in the coastal belt of the Konkan regions in Maharashtra near the Sahyadris and also in the east part of Vidarbha. In areas of very heavy rainfall, the eroded rocks gets washed away in a large quantity. So as a result, what happens? The parent rock which is there, it lies bare open. It is open because there is continuous heavy rainfall. It gets eroded and this parent rock which is there is open. So the iron in this rock which is present in the rock reacts with the oxygen in the air and it causes chemical reactions. So this gives a reddish color to this soil. You can see that in the picture. This soil is red in color. So reddish orange color to the soil because of the reaction, chemical reaction, and thus this kind of soil is formed. Next is the alluvial soil of the coastal strip. So majority of the rivers flowing in the Konkan region are short and they flow with great speed. Therefore, the alluvium brought by them, by the rivers, gets deposited in the mouth of the rivers. So this soil which is there is found at the mouth of the rivers, especially in the western coastal strips of Maharashtra, like areas around Panvel, Uran and Dharmatar Creek. The last main soil found in Maharashtra is the yellow-brown soil. So these soils are found in areas where there is extremely heavy rainfall. They are not very fertile. Therefore, they are not very useful for agriculture. Farmers do not use it because it is not fertile. They are mainly found in Chandrapur, eastern part of Bandara and parts of Sahyadri mountains in Maharashtra. Now children, next we will see how soil can get degraded or how soil erosion can make the soil infertile. So a layer of soil gets removed. How does erosion take place? When winds or water or any activity, natural activity, or even due to human activities, the top part of the soil, when it goes away, that is called as erosion of the soil. So it can be done by running water, climate, or even due to the diversity in the area or the region. So in this way soil erosion takes place. The soil quality gets lowered when erosion takes place because the surface soil which is there is a fertile soil, and if that only soil is moved away or removed out, then it becomes infertile. So this is called the degradation of soil. Now in order to obtain a higher agricultural yield, because you need fertile soil for agriculture, what people do or what farmers do, they use chemical fertilizers, insecticides, weedicides, etc. to increase the fertility of the soil. Now children, because these kind of chemicals are used excessively, so what happens there, this also can cause soil degradation. So that is why these chemicals should be used properly, not too much, not too less. Even due to excessive irrigation, because of lot of water is poured into these crops, what happens? The salt which is there, the irrigation draws the salts from the soil upwards and makes the soil saline and then unproductive. Due to excessive use of chemicals, they are residues. So when chemicals are used in excessive, a little residue or something is left behind in those soils, which remains in the soils for many years, and they become a threat. It becomes a threat to the existence of the microorganisms okay, the bacteria and all the living things in the soil, and this leads to the lowering of the humus. So because the residue is left behind because of the chemicals, so all earthworms or bacteria or dead plants, whatever is present in the soil, will die because of these chemicals, and thus the soil becomes infertile. Children, there is also one thing called as a pH level of the soil. pH level means what? It is the quality of soil. Okay, so it depends. You can see the picture here. There are various types of pH levels. Like what pH level is suitable for which type of crops. So we have acidity, neutral, and alkalinity. So this of the soil, that is a pH of the soil, thus gets disturbed when chemicals are present in the soil, and it is a sign of soil degradation. Now children, there is one concept called as geographic indication. The short form of it is GI. So certain soils are best suited for certain crops. Okay, not all soils can create or grow all kind of crops. So certain type of soils are suitable for certain type of crops. So hence the crop production of that crop becomes speciality of that area. Such crops are given the status of geographic indication. For example, Hapus mango of Sindhudurga. That means the soil that is available in Sindhudurga are specially for the Hapus mango. They are suitable for it. Custard apple from Bid district and oranges from Nagpur district. So that is why these type of soils are given the geographic indication, that is called as GI. Now children, we will see if the soils are eroded or degraded, how can we protect it? How can we conserve the soil? So considering the importance of the soil for agriculture, we have to protect these soils. We have to conserve these soils. So it is necessary to protect these soils or farmlands from getting washed out due to rains. Soil conservation includes the work like construction of embankments. You can see that just beside the road there is a wall that is built so that there is no soil erosion. The soil should not fall down. So embankments are built in order to prevent soil erosion, and even plants are being planted. Okay, there are trees that are planted on it so that the wind does not blow out the top or the surface level of the soil. There are constructions of gully plugs, okay, then against the steep slopes, etc. These all are done so that soil may be prevented from degradation. Such works are taken up by whom? It is taken up by the Department of Soil Conservation. Now trees that are planted can also control the velocity of the wind. Like suppose you all can see in the pictures that are given here. So when trees are planted on sloping lands or anywhere, it stops the wind from blowing away any kind of soil, little bit of soil. At least it can prevent soil erosion. So this helps in reducing the erosion of soil by the wind. The plant roots hold the soil, and this also reduces the erosion of soil. Now children, under soil conservation, there are many other tricks that government or the Department of Soil Conservation have. Like they also have the continuous contour trenches, which is also called as CCTs, are constructed along the slopes. They are constructed along the slopes of the land. So construction of such trenches at different heights checks the velocity of water running along the slopes. So what happens? So in these slopey areas, there are contour trenches that are built, okay, which prevents the water from flowing down in a very high speed. Okay, when water flows in a high speed, what happens? It takes along with it the soil as well. So in order to prevent it, they have built this continuous contour trenches. The government of Maharashtra has implemented the watershed. development program under which constructing embankments along slopes in rural areas and introducing CCTs, that is contour trenches along steep slopes, etc., have undertaken. So the government of Maharashtra is also very careful for the conservation of these soils. So this led to the success of this scheme. And what is the name of this scheme? Arrest water, let it percolate. It means hold the water in one place and let it get absorbed in the soil instead of just running away. And this has resulted in the raising of the ground water levels. So because the water gets absorbed into the soil, the groundwater which is there, their level increases, and the reducing of the erosion of soil. Now recently the government has launched the scheme. One scheme they have launched, it is called as the Jal Yukt Shivar. Under this scheme, works like construction of farm bunds, arresting of waters of small streams, connecting the streams, etc., are undertaken. Now it is advisable to reduce the excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, as they are not good for the soil's quality. If organic manures or vermicompost, compost are used regularly, it can help in maintaining the pH balance, increases the proportion of humus, okay, that is microorganisms, and retains the fertility of the soil. So keeping the farmland fallow means what? Plowed for some period and cultivating different crops alternatively can also help in retaining the fertility of the soils. So children, with this we have completed with the explanation for this lesson. Thank you for listening. Take care.